Hi, Rob. I love that title. What's new in 2022? I love rhyming things.
I know, and I want to show you this picture again because isn't it cool?
Oh, I love the fact that Coach in the Class is the rising sun, and with the new year, we shall rise to great heights.
I know, and it's also about starting the day early as the sun comes up. And actually, this I took on Wednesday morning.
Embracing the sea as I did this morning at 6:30. I was going for a run on the beach.
Yeah.
Aren't we so blessed to be where we live?
So lucky. And also just that fresh start when you start the day. It's fresh. It's a new day. It's time for new things.
It's just like term one, where we need to jump right into term one and look at new, fresh ways of teaching. So early birds used to try and tell people how to bring in creative and critical thinking. And Coach in the Class is saying, look, let's not tell you. Let's just bring it in and show you.
And show you, exactly.
So what have we got for people in term one?
Grade 5, woohoo! We've got you. We know we've neglected you.
We heard you because so many of our friends had said, "Hey, what about grade 5? Grade 4s are getting too much attention. Grade 6 are getting some," because they were shouting the loudest until you grade 5s all shouted. So you best go and buy now grade 5s because it's awesome. All right. So this is the NST that you've got to do this term, and a lot of you think of it as skeletons. So let's have a look how we're going to do this whole shapes and shell thing. You need to know the difference between plants and animals. So looking at the difference with plants, we're going to look at leaves, we're going to look at their shadows, we're going to sketch their outlines and silhouettes and create a whole sort of artistic thing, discovering how different plants are. And then for animals, we're not mentioning vertebrate and invertebrate. We're asking what are the differences in the structure and the shape of these animals. We don't know what they are. We don't know those terms. It's discovery. We love kids to be able to discover.
So I'm wondering if you can go and get samples of these out in your garden or at school.
If you've got a fish pond, you're lucky. You might find the fish and the frog. Ducks, I'm not sure unless you're a farm school. The Ellie, well, you better be some bush school. But the worksheet is here, and we're really just looking for differences because we're trying to isolate that they are so different. Okay. And then again, we're still not mentioning those terms, vertebrate and invertebrate, and we're just discovering that the snail's got the shell that protects its body. And whether you discover that the bird's got a skeleton frame, it doesn't matter yet. A lot of people forget that a snake has a skeleton because it's so wobbly.
Almost like a snail.
Yes, and so it is all just still discovering until we're going to watch a movie, and then we're going to cut them up and put them into or classify them, or in the EdTech one, you're going to move them around because they're all movable little blocks. And eventually we bring you to some information on vertebrates and then invertebrates. This is the work card that you like. Oh, I know that some staff like to have a note. So here's your note on invertebrates. But then still, you've got to identify common invertebrates, and you've got to talk about ones with 3 pairs of legs, ones with more than 3 pairs of legs, worm-like ones. And of course, we've given you examples of them.
You know what I really love about this is our grade 5s, many of them are still very much in that concrete phase. And so generally, we say to them, and these are vertebrates, and these are invertebrates, and these are the characteristics, and now what are the characteristics? They actually have no idea what we're talking about. And so all of this is working out those concepts for yourself. So when you give them a name, you're like, oh, okay, that's a name for these things that I already know.
Yeah, and then you understand endoskeleton and exoskeleton just like that.
I know, exactly.
So then we know that it's all about skeletons, and we know you all build skeletons with split pins or with glue stuck into your book. We don't mind anyhow. But we've given you a frog just to rustle it up a bit. And so in pairs, one of you builds a skeleton, one of you builds a frog, and I think that's going to be really, really cool.
And also, if you have devices and you can send this to your learners digitally, it's actually also a drag and drop for them to build the skeleton, and then they can just save it as a PNG at the end for their digital workbook.
And store it in their digital workbook, print it should you wish. Then, of course, we know that you also like kids to go off and discover information. So there's like an information card on shell structures and frame structures, which is essentially what this term is about. And so this is actually a lesson about expert groups where my group of 6 become terribly knowledgeable in the shells, and then another group becomes knowledgeable in frames, and then we swap and we teach each other, and then we answer the worksheet. So a teacher's not even involved here.
Yeah, you're just a facilitator, making sure that everybody's on task, answering the odd question, helping where you need to, etc. You are a facilitator. You are not that person at the front handing out information and the children are switched off. This is engaging. The children are in charge.
Which is exactly what Coach in the Class is striving for. And then, of course, you've got to build that skeleton, which is part of your technology. But we tell you about the design process and how critical that process is to the whole project. And so filling in the worksheet on the right is actually, how did you find the process? Did you sketch it? And then, of course, you're going to create the skeleton using struts made from newspaper. And then we've got a rubric for you to mark your design process, where you've got the drawing. Did you create a neat pencil drawing of the skeleton? Did you use the space provided wisely and you didn't stick it in the top left-hand corner and leave a space? Did you use neat scientific labeling? And then, of course, for the skeleton itself, there's a rubric, because Coach in the Class have got you covered with continuous assessment throughout the term.
And also what's great is maybe you decide you only want to formally assess the design process, and the skeleton build, you actually let the children peer assess each other or do a self-assessment, because ultimately we also need to be teaching children how to assess stuff. And if we are doing that all the time, then we're not giving them the opportunity to do it.
And evaluation is such an important skill. So we need to do that.
Totally.
Oh, wow. More grade 5 work.
I know. And this is geography. And I know that sometimes geography can be boring for children because it's, it's all about notes and remembering stuff. And actually, geography is amazing because it's practical. And so this term's theme is all about map skills, focusing on Africa. And we've got these fabulous little characters again. Just to give them a little bit of a story. They love the story from grade 4. So this is just for geography. We've got these 3 little characters looking for a halfway stop in the universe. They've identified Earth. The little red dude, he came back, or she or it came back with some evidence, a flat map and a globe. And the little aliens are discussing, it starts with them discussing, they can see the planet out the window, and why is it represented differently on the globe and the flat map?
That's the difference.
Yeah. And
so it's discovering the difference, not the teacher telling them.
And then we were really lucky. One of our teachers who did this lesson this week sent in some photographs of his learners totally engaged in this activity and discovering how distorted flat maps are.
Practical intelligence at its best, which is the practical kids are getting a chance to shine.
And also one of the main skills that CAPS wants us to develop in our grade 5 learners is map drawing. And we really don't give our learners nearly enough time at doing this in the real world.
Awesome.
And then again, looking at maps, this is more interpreting data. So they're going to use either Google Maps or an atlas. They're going to go and look for information. There's a whole instruction sheet about what they need to do. And then there's a memo for you and a rubric. The memo is actually what the tech-loaded learners can do using a tool called Sketchbook. If you look carefully, you can see I actually did this.
I can see your handwriting, and what I love about it is you've only included the information you wanted.
Yeah.
Normally, you get too much information. So this is SketchUp.
Yeah, Sketchbook.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome.
So I use my iPad with a pencil. You can use any touchscreen device, or using a PC with a mouse. You could do it. It would be a bit of a challenge, but it's a great app or tool for learners to learn, because you can use it in many different applications. So that's just a taster of the grade 5 geography. And then
and the rubrics there, a lovely rubric, I see.
Yeah.
And then back to grade 4, just to remind you that there's this awesome story of Where's My Hood, where Sam, Tammy, and Jem have this adventure a la Slumdog Millionaire, because they get lost on a train. And there are 24 NST lessons. Then we've got you covered in the geography, in the history, and the NST. Grade 4, you are covered. You're totally sorted. And grade 6, there's stuff for you too.
And actually, this is on, we've migrated it across from our old learner management system. It's on our refurbished website. So go and visit it and have a look there. It's all on board there. This is our website. You go and either click on modules, and that will take you to all of our available modules. Or if you want grade specific, go and click under each grade. You can go to a grade specific page and go and investigate what we've got.
And we're slowly migrating all the stuff from our old website to the new website.
Yes.
So you won't find term 2 stuff there, but you'll find it on our old modules website. But it's going to be moved across well within time, don't worry.
Yes.
But all the grade 1 stuff is there.
Term
one stuff is there.
Not
and
grade 1.
If you have any issues, we are real people. people. We're not bots. We'll answer you immediately and sort you out and make sure that you have access to the stuff you bought in 2021 because it's still good, fresh, new, and fabulous.
Yes. So we'll see you on our website or on email or maybe even in the real world, because we do see some of you in the real world.
Because we're teaching, aren't we?
Yes.
So good luck for the next week. I hope you're building up your teaching strength because it takes a while to build up and get to that strength. So good luck and enjoy this term. We'll see you next week.
Don't forget to go and have an early morning swim before school.
Or embrace summer until it's over.
No, totally. Have a great